At least 3 of the deputies involved in Tut's case are part of a group of boys named after the 3rd or 3,000th floor of Men's Central Jail where they're assigned. The group works hard and they play hard. As a symbol of their bond, they flash gang-like hand signs, 3 fingers for 3,000. They sport similar tattoos. One even has their number inked onto his neck.
New Year's Eve, 153rd Street. Deputies say Mexican gang members threatened a black man walking home, beat him up. 30 minutes later, up to 20 Mexican gang members surrounded his home, threw a beer bottle through the window, shouted the N-word, and told them they couldn't live there because of their race. These 2 armed gang members were arrested for the reported hate crime.
Tupac Shakur Dwayne Davis was back in court today. At the center of this case lately has been the way Davis posted bail this year, using money from a producer who allegedly offered Davis the bail in exchange for exclusive television rights to Davis's life story. Judge Carly Kearney denied Davis's bail again this morning, and afterward Davis spoke up, claiming the prosecution ordered corrections officers to attack him in his cell.
They brutally beat me up, they attacked me and assaulted me. And it was wrong. I told them I had cancer. I'm on blood. Only ugly on the outside, but they ugly on the inside too.
Suspect wanted in the fatal shooting of a 3-year-old boy in Compton 2 months ago is now behind bars.
More than 2 decades after a father and his 2-year-old daughter were gunned down in Compton, a suspect has been arrested. For 22 years, Stephen Murphy and his daughter Kaylee were assumed to have been in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And now, with a suspect in custody, their family may finally find justice.
The man is headed to prison for burglary and a home invasion robbery in Montecito. A judge sentenced Davion Jones to at least 18 years in prison, but he could spend the rest of his life behind bars. Jones.
Compton has always carried 2 truths at once. It's the cradle of West Coast hip-hop, home to Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, Ice Cube, DJ Quick, The Game, Kendrick Lamar, YG, and a launch pad for style, slang, and storytelling that reshaped pop culture. It's also a city forged by migratory booms, industrial decline, redlining, and freeway carving, pressures that left neighborhoods vulnerable to entrenched Blood/Crip sets and the crews that orbit them. Over the last decade, Compton has seen high-stakes investigations that stretch from swap meet, smash and grabs to interstate gun pipelines. Cold case deletions reopened with new forensics, hate crime prosecutions, and the hard scrutiny of policing itself. What follows isn't just a rap sheet. It's a look at how multi-agency teams, modern ballistics and cell site data, community tips, and courtroom persistence have targeted the relatively small groups driving a large share of violence, while the city that birthed global music legends fights to write a safer next verse.
A violent summer in 2001. That's when investigators say gunfire and constant battle between rival gangs rocked the Compton community. In the crossfire, this innocent father and his little girl who died on their grandmother's front porch.
They were just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Investigators say they were both unintended targets. They say the LAX employee had no gang ties. He was a student who was about to get married when he and his daughter were hit in the head by stray bullets. Detectives released photos of 2 suspects and a vehicle similar to this one that may be tied to the shooting. The day before this shooting, investigators say members of a different rival gang clashed on the streets of Compton. 22-year-old Richard Lawrence was shot to death. They say the motive in this case still unclear.
Summer 2001, Jahan Smith was out driving around with gang members in Compton, according to investigators, and looking for Hispanics to shoot in retaliation for a gang shooting the night before. The victims, 25-year-old Stephen Murphy and his 2-year-old daughter Kaylee, shot in the head in front of his grandmother's house, both black, dead in a drive-by shooting. 2 years after detectives arrested now 47-year-old Jahan Smith in connection with their
2001, one of the most heartbreaking crimes in Compton's history, unfolded when 25-year-old Stephen Murphy and his 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee Murphy, were gunned down outside their family home on Willowbrook Avenue. Stephen had been preparing to put his daughter into the back seat of his car when gunfire erupted. He was shot multiple times on the porch, and Kaylee was struck in the head. Both were rushed to the hospital, where Kaylee was pronounced dead soon after. Investigators determined the shooting was part of a violent retaliation spree, following the demise of a 22-year-old man the night before. tied to an ongoing gang war between rival Compton crews. That night, 5 separate drive-by shootings were reported across the area, one injuring a teenager, another striking at a deputy sheriff, all believed to be connected to the same retaliation wave. For more than 2 decades, the case went unsolved. It wasn't until 2023 that cold case detectives with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department reopened the investigation using newly available forensic technology and witness testimony. Their efforts led to the arrest of 47-year-old Jahan Terez Smith, known by the nickname Quant, a documented gang member with a violent past. Smith was charged with 2 counts of deletions, 4 counts of attempted deletions, and the special circumstance allegation of multiple deletions. Prosecutors also alleged that the crimes were premeditated and that Smith personally used a firearm during the attacks. Authorities believe Smith was directly involved in several of the drive-by shootings that night, including the one that claimed the lives of Stephen and Kaylee Murphy. He was arrested in late 2023 and ordered held without bail pending trial. The case marked one of the longest-running unsolved gang homicides in Compton's history to result in charges. If convicted, Smith faces life in prison without the possibility of parole.
They are eligible to jail against inmates. I need help. And on the outside against their fellow deputies. The sheriff? Yeah, the sheriff and they're fighting downstairs. Coming up, our exclusive KTLA investigation into the 3,000 boys, named after the 3rd or 3,000th floor of Men's Central Jail where they're assigned. The group works hard and they play hard. As a symbol of their bond, they flash gang-like hand signs, 3 fingers for 3,000. They sport similar tattoos. One even has their number inked onto his neck. And another case involving the 3,000 boys lends credence to the notion that some had indeed lost their way. The sheriff? Yeah, the sheriff and they're fighting downstairs. This 911 call obtained by KTLA News came from the Quiet Cannon Club in Montebello. It happened here last December. Dozens of sheriff's deputies, including racial Christmas party. After plenty of drinks, a fight broke out. Witnesses called 911. 3 of them held one guy down while another one beat him. So the sheriff officers that are fighting? Yeah. Deputies beaten up that night filed a criminal complaint. Now, 6 deputies from the fight, including 3 in the Evans-Tutt case, are facing termination.
In 2020, a whistleblower claim by Los Angeles County Sheriff's Deputy Austraberto Art Gonzalez alleged that the LASD's Compton station had been infiltrated by a violent deputy clique calling itself the Executioners. According to the filing, the group described as an evolution of the old 3,000 boys jail clique operated with impunity, influencing schedules, assignments, tip lines, and discipline inside the station. New members were allegedly celebrated with matching inking tattoos after participating in violent acts, and the clique's insignia was said to feature a skull in a military-style helmet holding a rifle, often paired with references to Compton, CPT. Gonzalez claimed that after he reported the clique to Internal Affairs, his identity was leaked, he was branded a rat in graffiti at the station entrance, and he was ostracized by co-workers. The allegations extended beyond internal retaliation to include illegal arrest quotas, threats of work slowdowns, falsified force reports, and incidents of excessive force. Community leaders in Compton publicly decried the alleged culture, accusing deputies of terrorizing residents and covering their tracks, while the sheriff's department, under then Sheriff Alex Villanueva, denied that any gang controlled a station, even as it announced a policy banning such cliques. In subsequent litigation, a separate whistleblower retaliation suit brought by an LASD lieutenant was rejected by a jury on causation grounds, a decision that did not resolve whether the executioners existed as alleged or committed misconduct, only that the plaintiff hadn't proven retaliation caused the adverse employment outcome. As of the latest public updates, no criminal case has been brought against the executioners as a group, and no final, public determination has formally branded the clique a criminal organization, though internal reviews and civilian oversight inquiries have continued.
Sheriff's deputies are investigating 2 hate crimes in Compton. In one case, authorities say gang members repeatedly terrorized an African-American family.
Well, they simply say the demographics here are changing. For instance, this is an African-American Baptist church behind me that is now in the middle of what is now a predominantly Hispanic neighborhood. And they say recently a Mexican street gang tagged that church, and deputies say it's more hate crimes that's happening between those two groups.
It's like you might as well just put a hood on your head and ride around and just say, you know, we don't like black people. I mean, it'd be better like that.
LaFrancis says the racial street war continues in Compton, differing from block to block. Sharon Smith says her black neighbor couldn't even walk home one time.
He was trying to come home after work, but he was chased home by Mexican Americans.
Then there was New Year's Eve, 153rd Street. Deputies say Mexican gang members threatened a black man walking home, beat him up. 30 minutes later, up to 20 Mexican gang members surrounded his home, threw a beer bottle through the window, shouted the N-word, and told them they couldn't live there because of their race. These two armed gang members were arrested for the reported hate crime.
In late 2012, a black family in Compton became the target of a racially motivated campaign to drive them from their home. According to investigators, the harassment began on December 31st, when 4 Latino men in a black SUV confronted a male family member on his walk home, announced themselves as local gang members, and told him his family could not live in the neighborhood because of their race. The group chased him, hurled slurs and threats, and beat him with metal pipes. One assailant pointed a handgun and threatened to shoot. About 30 minutes later, the same men returned this time with roughly 15 to 20 associates surrounded the residence, shouted racial epithets, and threw a beer bottle through the living room window while continuing to threaten the occupants, including a child inside. Over the rest of the day, vehicles tied to the group repeatedly cruised past the home, escalating the intimidation. Sheriff's detectives ultimately identified 2 principal suspects, Efren Marquez of Riverside County and Jeffrey Aguilar of Compton, and arrested them in January 2013 on hate crime charges. A juvenile alleged to be a gang member was also detained after struggling with deputies who were serving a search warrant related to the case. Federal prosecutors later charged Marquez and Aguilar with interfering with housing rights because of race, a civil rights hate crime offense. Both men pleaded guilty in 2013, admitting that the purpose of their conduct was to force the family to move out. In early 2014, a federal judge sentenced each of them to 21 months in prison, followed by supervised release. The court described the attack as a deliberate, coordinated effort to terrorize a family out of its home.
Man is headed to prison for burglary and a home invasion robbery in Montecito. A judge sentenced Davion Jones to at least 18 years in prison, but he could spend the rest of his life behind bars. Jones and 2 others broke into homes in Goleta and Los Angeles. In July 2018, they ransacked a Montecito home as the homeowner hid in a closet and called 911. The trio are Compton Crip gang members.
In July 2018, as Montecito was still recovering from the debris flow disaster, Davion Dwayne Jones, a documented Front Hood Compton Crips member, joined 2 accomplices, one a juvenile, on a burglary spree that escalated into a late-night home invasion. A homeowner dialed 911 and hid in a closet while intruders ransacked rooms and kicked through a locked bedroom door before fleeing out a nearby creek bed. Deputies soon recovered a loaded gun and discarded clothing linking the trio to the break-in and to an earlier Goleta burglary the same day. By the following afternoon, Jones had allegedly carjacked a running vehicle on Coast Village Road to escape an intensive manhunt, crashed near Butterfly Beach, and was chased down and arrested along the railroad tracks. Investigators tied him to the crimes through surveillance footage, cell site data, physical evidence, and gang indicia, and prosecutors charged him with home invasion robbery, residential burglaries, carjacking, street gang participation, false impersonation, and auto theft-related counts. A Santa Barbara County jury convicted Jones on multiple felonies, and in May 2020, citing his prior serious felony strikes, the gang enhancement, and the danger posed by armed, coordinated intrusions, a judge sentenced him to a determinate 18 years plus 115 years to life under California's 3-strike scheme. On appeal, the convictions were upheld, but the case was remanded for resentencing in light of newer laws, narrowing gang enhancements and expanding judicial discretion. Jones remains convicted and serving a life tail term. Co-defendant Adolph Washington Jr. was also convicted in connection with the Montecito incidents.
Suspect wanted in the fatal shooting of a 3-year-old boy in Compton 2 months ago is now behind bars. LA County Sheriff's deputies arrested 27-year-old Kevin Harris. The family of 3-year-old Franklin Ponrose says Harris is the boyfriend of the victim's mom. Harris and the second suspect, Dwayne Ward, are accused of trading gunfire after getting into an argument in a parking lot on January 20th. A stray bullet killed Franklin as he sat in his car seat. Ward...
In January 2018, a tragic shootout between rival gang members in Compton claimed the life of 3-year-old Franklin Ponrose. The violence erupted in the parking lot of a liquor store on West Alondra Boulevard when Dwayne Ward and Kevon Harris confronted one another. Harris was walking toward his parked car where his girlfriend and her young son were waiting when an argument broke out between the two men. Both, affiliated with rival gangs, drew handguns and exchanged gunfire at close range. In the chaos, one of the bullets struck Franklin, who was sitting in the back seat. His mother escaped injury, but Franklin died shortly after being rushed to the hospital. Ward surrendered to authorities 2 days later, while Harris was arrested shortly afterward. Prosecutors charged both men with the demise, shooting at an occupied motor vehicle, and possession of a firearm by a felon. During the investigation, detectives confirmed that the confrontation stemmed from a long-running feud between rival Compton gangs, and that neither the child nor his mother were connected to the dispute. In December 2019, both Ward and Harris were convicted after a jury trial. In early 2021, they were sentenced to lengthy prison terms. Harris received 103 years to life, and Ward 89 years to life. The judge described the crime as a senseless act of gang violence that robbed a child of his future and devastated an entire community. However, in 2022, a California appellate court overturned the convictions, ruling that the jury should have been allowed to consider lesser charges, such as voluntary manslaughter, based on the circumstances of the gunfight. The case was remanded for further proceedings, leaving open the possibility of retrial or resentencing. Despite the legal reversal, the demise of Franklin Ponrose remains one of Compton's most heartbreaking examples of innocent lives lost to gang crossfire. In March 2012, 4 self-admitted Santana Blocc Compton Crips cousins, Raymond and Larry Fradiu, along with Deonta Walker and Randy Rollins, stormed the indoor swap meet at 7th Street and La Paz Drive in Victorville during a planned smash-and-grab robbery. According to sheriff's investigators and witness testimony, Larry and Raymond were armed with handguns, while Rollins and Walker used hammers to shatter glass jewelry cases. As the crew ran out to a waiting white Jeep Cherokee, 58-year-old vendor Inho Lee, an ex-police officer from Korea who ran a tool booth, followed them outside. He was shot multiple times. An autopsy later documented 2 gunshot wounds to the chest, one of them fatal after piercing his aorta and left lung. Detectives testified that the group rendezvoused with additional Santana Blocc members along the freeway, handed off the guns and stolen jewelry, and then went to the Compton swap meet to pawn the loot. The getaway Jeep was later found abandoned in Compton. A 5th participant, the driver, was never publicly identified and remained at large at the time. After multi-state arrests, 2 suspects picked up in Georgia, 1 in New Mexico, and 1 in San Bernardino. A San Bernardino County judge ruled at a preliminary hearing that sufficient evidence existed to try all 4 on charges that included Lee's demise, robbery, and participation in a criminal street gang. According to the U.S. Marshals Service, Terry Williams, a self-identified Compton Crips member with a history that includes arrests for attempted murder, robbery, and assault deletion, battery with a deadly weapon, drug trafficking, obstruction, and robbery, was taken into custody in Sparks, Nevada, after a prolonged SWAT standoff. Investigators said Williams had absconded from a Las Vegas halfway house in May, while under federal supervision for a prior conviction. Sparks Police SWAT secured the perimeter, and, after extended negotiations and tactical containment, Williams was arrested without reported injuries to officers or bystanders. From there, standard procedure would be to book him into local custody on the Nevada hold in the federal detainer, then present him before a magistrate for an identity initial appearance and transfer on the supervision violation warrant. Between January and May of a given year, Brandon Moss of Compton, California, purchased 15 handguns from 4 gun shops located in Phoenix and Mesa, Arizona. He allegedly used forged federal forms to make the purchases, giving false information about his address and drug use, and acknowledged buying the guns for others in exchange for about $100 per weapon. After the purchases, Moss transported the firearms back to California, where he sold them to individuals he knew were gang members. Police located one of the handguns after it was thrown out of a car window containing gang members. Moss was arrested on May 3rd near Southern Avenue and Horn Street in Mesa. He was charged with multiple offenses, including weapons misconduct and forgery of ATF purchase documents.
Tupac Shakur Dwayne Davis was back in court today. At the center of this case lately has been the way Davis posted bail this year, using money from a producer who allegedly offered Davis the bail in exchange for exclusive television rights to Davis's life story. Judge Carly Kearney denied Davis's bail again this morning. And afterward, Davis spoke up, claiming the prosecution ordered corrections officers to attack him in his cell.
They brutally beat me up. They attacked me and assaulted me. And it was wrong. I told them I had cancer. I'm on blood. Only ugly on the outside, but they ugly on the inside, too.
Dwayne Keefe D. Davis lashing out at prosecutors during another hearing about releasing him on bail.
And you just use something in the boxes. They just use something in the boxes. From 1996.
Those boxes contain
Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, a former Southern California street gang leader, pleaded not guilty Thursday to deletion charges in the 1996 demise of rap icon Tupac in Las Vegas. Davis is the only person still alive who was in the car from which the shots were fired, and the first person to be formally charged in connection to the case, which has remained one of hip-hop's most enduring mysteries for 27 years. Standing in shackles before Clark County District Court Judge Tira Jones, Davis waved to his wife, son, and daughter in the gallery before entering his plea. When asked for his response to the charges, Davis simply said, "Not guilty." Originally from Compton, California, Davis was arrested on September 29 outside his home in suburban Henderson, following a search warrant executed by Las Vegas police in July. Davis remains in jail without bail and has not testified before the grand jury that indicted him, nor has he spoken with the media. The indictment claims that Davis supplied the firearm used in the fatal shooting, handing it to someone in the back seat of a Cadillac. The gunfire caused the demise of 25-year-old Tupac and wounded rap mogul Marion Knight, who was with Tupac at the time. Shakur met his demise a week later from his injuries. Prosecutors allege the shooting was tied to an East Coast-West Coast rivalry between gang-affiliated rap groups. The conflict escalated after a brawl earlier that day between Tupac and Davis's nephew, Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, at a Las Vegas casino. .40 caliber handgun that night, he stopped short of directly identifying Anderson as the shooter. Anderson, who denied involvement in Tupac, met his demise in a 1998 shooting in Compton. The driver of the Cadillac and another backseat passenger have also since met his demise. In his memoir, Davis revealed he cooperated with law enforcement in 2010, sharing what he knew about the demise of Tupac and his East Coast rival, the Notorious B.I.G., to avoid prosecution for himself and 48 other members of his Southside Compton Crips.
These cases show that focused enforcement, credible investigations, and community cooperation can deliver real accountability, closing old wounds and interrupting cycles of retaliation. But lasting safety also depends on prevention, cutting off gun pipelines, investing in youth jobs and re-entry, and rebuilding trust through constitutional policing. Compton's legacy is bigger than its worst nights. It's a city of creators and survivors. Keep those tracks accountability and opportunity moving together, and the next chapter can be louder than sirens and stronger than fear.